Dear children, today we are going to learn about nationalism in India. History, chapter number 3. In this lesson, we are going to learn about the First World War, Khilafat and non-cooperation movement, effects of the First World War, the idea of satyagraha, the Rowlatt Act, Jallianwala Bagh massacre, Khilafat movement, non-cooperation movement. The first topic is the effects of the First World War on the economic and political situation of India. First of all, the First World War created a new economic and political situation. It led to a huge increase in defense expenditure, which was financed by war loans and increasing taxes. Next one, through the war years, prices increased, doubling between 1913-1918, leading to extreme hardship for the common people. Next point, villages were called upon to supply soldiers, and the forced recruitment in rural areas caused widespread anger. Then in 1918-19 and 1920-21, crops failed in many parts of India, resulting in acute shortage of food. This was accompanied by an influenza epidemic. According to the census of 1921, 12 to 13 million people perished as a result of famine and epidemic. People hoped that all their hardships would end after the war was over, but that did not happen. Mahatma Gandhi returned to India on 9th January 1915. Early satyagraha movements of Gandhiji from 1916 to 1918. In 1916, Mahatma Gandhi travelled to Champaran in Bihar to inspire the peasants to struggle against the oppressive plantation system. Then in 1917, Mahatma Gandhi organised a satyagraha to support the peasants of the Kheda district of Gujarat who were affected by crop failure and plague epidemic. In 1918, Mahatma Gandhi went to Ahmedabad to organize a satyagraha movement among the cotton mill workers. Next topic is the Rowlatt Act 1919. The Rowlatt Act was passed by the Imperial Legislative Council in 1919. This act gave lot of powers to the government to suppress political activities. It allowed detention of political prisoners without any trial for 2 years. On 6th April 1919, Gandhiji launched a nationwide satyagraha against this proposed Rowlatt Act. The call for strike on 6th April got a huge response from public. Shops were shut down and workers in railway workshops went on a strike. The British administration decided to suppress the nationalist movement. Several local leaders were arrested. Mahatma Gandhi was barred from entering Delhi. The next topic is Jallianwala Bagh. On 10th April 1919 in Amritsar, the police fired upon a peaceful procession. This provoked widespread attacks on government establishments. Martial law was imposed in Amritsar and the command of the area was given to General Dyer. The infamous Jallianwala Bagh massacre took place on 13th April 1919. A crowd of villagers came to participate in a fair in Jallianwala Bagh. This was actually an enclosed park from all sides with narrow entry points. General Dyer blocked the exit points and opened fire on the crowd. Hundreds of people were killed in the incident. The government responded with brutal repression to humiliate and terrorize people. Satyagrahis were forced to rub their noses on the ground, crawl on the streets and salute to all British officials. People were flogged and villages around Gujranwala in Punjab, now in Pakistan, were bombed. Next topic is Khilafat movement. The First World War had ended with the defeat of Ottoman Turkey, and a harsh peace treaty was imposed on the Ottoman Emperor, that is the Khalifa. He was the spiritual head of the Islamic world. To defend the Khalifa's temporal powers, a Khilafat committee was formed in Bombay in March 1919. Young Muslim leaders like Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali began a movement against the British in India, which is called Khilafat movement. The Ali brothers. Gandhiji saw this as an opportunity to bring Muslims and Hindus under the umbrella of a unified national movement. At the Calcutta session of the Congress in September 1920, he convinced other leaders of the need to start a non-cooperation movement in support of Khilafat as well as for Swaraj. Now, Gandhiji and non-cooperation movement. In his famous book Hind Swaraj, Mahatma Gandhi declared that British rule was established in India with the cooperation of Indians and had survived only because of this cooperation. If Indians refused to cooperate, British rule in India would collapse within a year and Swaraj would come. Gandhiji has asked to start the non-cooperation movement in 3 stages. According to Gandhiji, the first stage, surrender the titles which were awarded by the British government. The second stage, boycott of civil services, army, police courts, legislative councils, schools and boycott foreign goods. The third stage of the non-cooperation movement was to launch a full civil disobedience campaign if the government persisted with the repressive measures. Now, we are going to learn about 2 important Congress sessions. At the Calcutta session of the Congress in September 1920, Gandhiji convinced other leaders of the need to start a non-cooperation movement in support of Khilafat as well as for Swaraj. At the Nagpur session of the Congress in December 1920, the non-cooperation program was adopted. The non-cooperation movement in the towns and middle class participation. The non-cooperation movement started with the middle class participation in the cities. Thousands of students left government controlled schools and colleges, and headmasters and teachers resigned. Lawyers gave up their legal practices and boycotted courts. The council elections were boycotted in most provinces except in Madras. Foreign goods were boycotted, liquor shops were picketed, and foreign clothes burned in huge bonfires. In many places, merchants and traders refused to trade in foreign goods or finance foreign trade. The next one, why did the non-cooperation movement slow down in the cities? The reasons are following. The first one, khadi was more expensive than mill-made cloth. The poor people could not afford to buy khadi. Second one, boycott of British institutions posed a problem of lack of alternative Indian institutions. Such institutions were slow to come up, so students and teachers began going back to schools. Similarly, lawyers resumed their work in the courts. Thank you, children.